I like to believe that a lot of content creators are doing content wrong. Now, this is a bold statement, but I have been on this journey as a creator myself who has gained over hundreds of thousands for different clients. And this is the kind of a fruitful conversation I had with my client actually this last week that has kind of just mind blown us, me and my client, our clients, and it has really kind of led on a journey and a discussion that has been very eye opening that I felt like it was worth giving a conversation on because I started using these words and now my client is starting to use it and they're like they just adapted it in their own language and they really like it. I could tell they really like it. And in my eyes, when I see that, I see an opportunity to share that. So if you give me the next couple minutes, it is completely off the cuff. I'm going to show you everything that I have kind of learned. And by the way, I am not saying am a master marketer or copywriter, or I'm probably in the top 0.1% of these agencies or these copywriters. By no means, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that what you get from this video and what you're going to get from my channel is very deep analysis and kind of just thoughts of experiences that I have faced in my own marketing journey that I think is really relevant to other people that could absolutely they could take and kind of just run with. Actionable advice, interesting advice that you're not really going to see. It's going to be purely strictly from information from many different information sources and pretty much using this information to kind of stay ahead of this kind of this new world that we're going into, this AI world. And so I'm looking to thrive in it. I'm looking to kind of set up myself in the best scenario. And I'd be happy to kind of show that journey. And that's where you're going to get. So let me switch over to exactly pretty much my screen. So I like to get this concept of with content, an idea of 1 mile wide versus 1 mile deep. And I have thought about this and really kind of thought about it deeply, but I didn't really think about it until I watched this video from Devin Jotho. I hope I said his name. And he was going over how he's building a $1 million personal brand for a stranger in 42 minutes. And basically, he just gives away all his like kind of his stuff in his kind of personal brand. And I think he's really hitting on the idea of that YouTube is, based on what I've seen, is disproportionately pushing long form content. By long form content, I mean content that is 30 minutes, 20 minutes plus. They're getting pushed more compared to these 10-minute videos. And there's a reason why. Basically, my theory, and all of this is just theorized because, again, I'm a student and I'm going to give you what I think is currently working right now, but it may change in the future. So, to be clear, that's kind of I want to be abundantly clear on is that this is just what I am seeing right now work, and so it may change in the future. But what I have seen is that these videos are like 42 minutes long, that are whatever, like longer than 25 minutes, whatever it may be, are getting pushed, and it's because you're keeping people longer on your platform, and YouTube recognizes it, and it's like, okay, let's reward that. And so they're obviously trying to push these longer because they're trying to fight and battle against other platforms like Netflix. And it only makes sense that they're going to start rewarding these because people are now starting to watch more YouTube on their TV. It's starting to replace traditional TV. You see YouTube TV is the thing now. So all that is clearly here. But that's not the main point. The main point I'm getting towards is that this concept of a 1 mile wide versus 1 mile deep. And he talks about it, and Devin talks about it, and maybe not this concept right here, but I kind of put it together into this idea. But he alludes to this idea that when you're making content, when you're doing short form, and this applies to any content piece I could see, he says that we try to cram so much value in so little time. And he kind of angles it on talking about hooks. But I think for you guys, this is more relevant in general. Whether maybe you're into marketing, Maybe you're not in the marketing. Maybe you're just like came across this video by chance because of content creation, even though that is a little bit of that is into marketing. Whatever you want to kind of package it as, you kind of in this video, if you're in this video watching this, you clearly have some interest in the marketing and really just personal brand growing, and whether you're a coach, info, space, whatever it may be. And I think this idea is relevant enough for everyone. And the idea is that when you learn to drive a car, right, you have a lot of skills to learn. You have to learn like so many of these kind of micro skills that you have to stack up. And you don't really realize it if you really if you apply it all out, there's a lot to learn. And someone in maybe like a content creator who's helping people learn how to drive cars in the United States, because they may be different from someone who's learning who's in the UK or in Europe. And so maybe he's a UK or in Europe, and he's just kind of exposing people, targeting those people in the UK and Europe to kind of get more exposure at how to drive a car in the US. Now, obviously, you can have your specifics of like where the wheels at, but in general, there's going to be other kind of things. So let's just broaden out to learning to drive a car, right? And so when we look at this, we have a lot of skills, a lot of micro skills that you may not even be aware of, but it'd be stuff like how to park, maybe how to use a parking brake, steering, turn signal, how to use it properly, because there is probably technically ways of properly using it compared to how people may use it. The purpose of the horn, how to use it, how to actually properly brake. There's probably people who be telling you that, hey, most people are probably braking wrong because you're doing X, Y, Z. But what if I told you there's a better way to do this that's actually like better for your car or whatever, like there's probably some things there. And so there's other things too, like how to drive around a corner, like, or they go around a curve at like that's like going around, they have to like, if you're regularly going 45, you have to go 25 on miles per hour. Like you have to brake first halfway through and then you put in your brake. There's tons of different scenarios they can kind of think out. And that's where the concept of this 1 mile wide can apply. Because if you have a short form, especially if you're doing like 90 seconds or like YouTube goes up to 3 minutes, like if you're going 3 minutes, this is a mile wide of information, but it's not really going to give you tons. It's like, I could list out everything you need to learn, but you could be so overwhelmed. You could be like, it's a lot. I'm like, I don't really know what the takeaway of this is. Like, I can give you some like general tips, like, oh, make sure you know how to do your turn signal. Make sure you know understand how to use a wheel. Is it manual or is it on like it's just like it's stuff like that. It's like, how do you know how to brake properly? Do you even know how to even drive around the corner while braking properly? Like, it's a lot of stuff that you have to know. And it doesn't really do helpful. It's just not really helpful. There's always tons of content out there. So why not, instead of going a mile wide and just digging up straight up dirt, because that's what it's going to get, just value of just dirt, right? Why don't we just go a mile deep instead? And so instead of doing that, why don't go a mile deep in the information so we can go into like, what is the purpose of the horn? Well, maybe the purpose of the horn really is to communicate. And I mean, I go in the XYZ of all the examples you already need. Like, what if like someone like it's like super close to you, like it's literally like just like brake checks you, like you get a honk on them or something, like, or like maybe like someone's being like a really dumb on the road and you're gonna have to honk him and say, hey, do better, buddy, or something. You get the idea. And so there's like different ways of like kind of going about it. But if you give all the information on every scenario they could ever imagine on how to use this horn, this is going to be so invaluable to this person that they're going to be like, holy cow, I absolutely love what this information. I got to know more about what else, like what other verticals of information you can talk about, because you just give everything, you give so much value here. And that goes to then the law of reciprocation, which if you don't know what that is, reciprocity. What is it? Reciprocity. I don't know if I said that right, but I would highly recommend reading the Persuasion book by Robert Cialdini, and it's amazing. It goes into like the top marketing kind of like triggers, and pretty much it even touches on like the idea of like why we give free value, especially if you're in the agency space, or just in general, like why you give the idea of giving free value, and then you give free value to this person, and they feel in a way obligated to give that kind of value back, or that trust in a way back. And that's why typically you don't say, hey, want to get my service. Usually, like a lot of times people say give free value first, so then you have a little bit of that value, that little bit of that trust more established there. And so when you make that ask, say, hey, would you like to like try out my service, you're more likely to do it. And so that's like the idea of this. And so uh this strictly goes to, if you go a mile deep, you got to give these gold nuggets that you would have never gave. And the cool thing is, if you pair this with like unique advice, like not advice like people are always giving on like YouTube and just YouTube, X, TikTok. If you can like go out and step out of your market of like what are people doing, and bring something new in, then you're gonna look different. And that's the cool thing about what I really like about Devin. I didn't really see anything about how he explained it his way. He had a unique mechanism, and that's what pretty much he talks about, is having this unique mechanism, bringing in unique information, and that's what establishes you as an authority figure, is because you give this value and unique perspective that maybe contradicts a lot of people, a lot of stuff that's going on. And that's why this video right now, I'm like, because I'm with my clients and we were thinking about this, we kind of racked our brains around this for a long time, because we're giving away, we have like videos that we give out weekly to our private membership, but we are looking into how can we kind of chop this up to really tease them and really get people interested. And we went through this, and of course we got in people, but we are now shifting over to a more higher class, higher status quality leads that are more, that we're able to charge more. And in terms of, it's in terms of finance, we're like, okay, well, we had to change entirely our strategy. We feel like, and I, that's why I mentioned, like, this is just when I mentioned, I came across this video just last week. I'm like, hey, like, while we're in this transition of content, why don't we go to this new concept of like, instead of being a mile wide, why don't we go a mile deep on a very micro specific problem, solve that problem right there for them, to give them so much value, and to be like, man, this is amazing. I want to learn more about what they're doing and what they have to offer. That then there would be no reason to, when they are in the right place, when it does make sense for them, then I can make the ask and they would be like, yeah, I think it's right for me. I want to pull the trigger. I want to work with you. I want to understand what you kind of, how you can kind of take me to the next level if you already gave me this resources to take me to this first level. And so that's what we're kind of looking at with my client. And we're still into looks of like how this is going to work. I have an idea. I kind of drafted out an idea with it, but I felt it was very important to kind of talk on this. And I really, they found it super valuable. And if I'm talking to them, I use them as an indicator. If they find it valuable, then surely enough, other people are going to find this valuable. So if you did find this valuable, then let me know, and I'd be happy to kind of just continue making content like this. I actually do enjoy making content like this, especially when it's combining usually many different sources together, different data points. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that a lot of creators were like, maybe they're speaking on their own experience, or maybe they won't even speak at their own experience, or just regurgitate the same thing. And that's where I say that I like to pull from many different sources, because it broadens the view and kind of supports a thesis, because that's all really what this is. Because marketing, in a way, it's like a science, and science, they do experiments. So they set up their hypothesis, their thesis, and they're like, I think this is going to happen based on X, Y, Z, A, B, C. And so they say that, and they're like, let me try it out. They A/B test it, they find out that it doesn't work, and they're like, okay, yeah, okay. That's a base. We got a base. Let's try it out to something else. Oh, that didn't work. The other thing didn't work. This is doing a lot better. Wow, I was completely off. Let me detach from that idea and let me move forward with this way. And so that's where you constantly, the marketing is just a science of you constantly doing that. And I think as you go on, it becomes a lot more simpler. Like it solidifies, but that's what I'm here for. To kind of talk about everything I'm seeing, what's working for me, my clients, what I'm finding, what I'm learning, and hopefully it's valuable to you. Again, I'm not a master. By no means am I even claiming that I'm probably like the top 1% in terms of like copywriting marketing agency, but I like to believe that I'm giving all my information. I'm putting tons of hours into this. I'm constantly grinding. I'm constantly putting all the information, distilling it down to the most actionable results for my clients and of course to you. And so if you're looking for that, if you're looking for information of how to thrive in this AI upcoming kind of navigate this AI upcoming world, then it would make sense to at least kind of put a tab on my channel because I'm going to expose everything is working, what is absolutely what we're looking to. Obviously, I can't give away the systems because a lot of times I'm under NDAs with this stuff, but I can give a general overview of what we're looking at and what you could maybe look into implementing into your business. And yeah, so I'm just kind of in a way, to be clear, just distilling down everything what I'm learning and just representing and giving it out. So if you find that valuable, then make sure to like and subscribe, and then see you in the next video. Thanks.